Hello everyone, today we'll be going over mobile development with Android Studio, but also providing some info on apps and the different types of formats and packages there is. So let's begin and head in. Okay, so our next topic is what is Android Studio? The creation of it, the IDE, the purpose. So the official IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment, and basically this was created and released by Google in 2014. Replacing Eclipse as the main tool, and it's built on IntelliJ IDEA, which is a popular Java integrated development environment. And the purpose of this was really just to provide all the tools in one place to build Android apps, and it lets developers write code, design layouts, it lets them test and debug all in one program. And it matters because standard tools that are used worldwide for Android development work with multiple languages, such as Kotlin, Java, and C++, and they also are supportive of being both a beginner friendly with hello world apps to more large professional apps. So they work in a variety of ways. All right, so the mobile app overview. On the right side, we can clearly see that there's two images. We have the Apple iOS App Store alongside the Google Play's Play Store. As of now, these are two of the most major operating systems for OS, iOS, and Android, with Android having over 2.5 million apps in Google Play, as opposed to iOS Apple having about 1.98 million. So these are both stores for digital content that provide many features for the users to go and explore and use. And especially when it comes to formatting, especially with the Android apps, we have different types of formats, such as a .aab, which can allow you to publish and format for the app stores for Android devices. And it's also been a requirement for Google Play since 2021, so somewhat fairly recent. The next format we have is an APK, which are basically installable packages on Android devices that can be used on all devices, but there is precaution just because there might be less security or different types of implementations in these packages, and it can alter the package, which can have harmful effects depending on what people do with it. But the benefits for each one is that it can offer smaller downloads, modular delivery, and has simple builds, while the others are able to make direct installs and they can support sideloading. Alright, so some of the primary languages and their purpose. Well, one of the primary languages we first have is Kotlin, and this is Google's preferred language for Android apps. Secondary, we have Java. It is still supported, but the primary focus is on Kotlin just because of the way it helps function. And then lastly, we have C++. This is basically used for performance on critical components that help on the native development kit, or for short NDK. These all help with, like I said, making things run, performing, and testing. All right, so our next point is Android development tools and kits. This is basically relating to things like the IDEs that I told you about, the integrated development environments. And basically how, Android Studio itself is an IDE. It provides the code editor, design tools, and debugging features all in one place to use. It makes, development easier and faster for apps. And then we have things like Android SDK, which stands for Software Development Kit. It's basically a set of libraries, APIs, and tools needed to build Android apps. And it can include everything ranging from connecting with Android features such as a camera, GPS, notifications, and it can also come with emulators to test apps without a real phone in case you might not have one. Next, we have things like Jetpack, Android Jetpack. It's basically a collection of pre-made libraries and tools to help developers handle common tasks like navigation, background work, and data storage. These all help to encourage, safe and good practices so that the apps are stable and easier to maintain when they eventually do get, made. All right, so next we're on part 2, and we have things more like a Compose UI toolkit. So it's basically UI stands for user interface. It's a modern way to build Android app interfaces. It uses a declarative approach, so you describe what the UI should look like. And then you can also replace old XML layout systems. Also with Gradle Build Systems, it basically automates building the app and manages like dependencies, so like your external libraries, and it can make sure that the app is compiled and packaged correctly so you don't get any errors or things of like that nature. Lastly, as before stated, we have things like emulator. So with emulators, it's basically a virtual Android phone on your computer. It'll let us test apps without needing a real device. It could be useful for checking different screen sizes and versions of Android, just making sure that everything fits well with the different varieties of them. And next we have like a device manager, which is basically a tool inside Android Studio that lets us connect and manage real devices, and it lets us run and test the apps directly on the phone or any other type of device like a tablet. Okay, hello. At this point, we'll be ending the video. And I would like to thank you for watching to the end. And now that we have covered, some topics with mobile development and things we can find in Android Studio, the next video is going to be focusing and going over the creation and implementing an app called Camera Recognition, which basically allows the user to open a camera app that will allow us to translate a given language. And overall, thank you for watching, and please feel free to like, comment, share, subscribe. Thank you, and see you in the next video. Bye-bye.